show where fish tales come alive. Join host Norman Lee, let's take a dive. By the freshwater lakes where the bass run deep, where the crappie bite and the memories we keep. We're casting lines and sharing all the tricks. Norman's on the mic with the pros top pick. We got stories from the masters fishing legends of our time, from major league fishing to the bass masters climb, tipping techniques and laughs along the way. So tune in tight, let's go fishing today. On the mic, where the fishing dreams flow, join the ride. We're casting out lines, you know. Norman Lee's got the tails and the bait, from morning fog to the evening's golden wake. We're talking bass and crappie, it's more than just a catch. It's the friendships we build, every story we sketch. Yeah. Remember that time on the river's bend when we hooked the big one on a friend, sipping cold drinks, sharing secrets and lore. Fishing ain't just a hobby, it's at the heart of the shore. From sun-kissed dawns to nights where we sail, bringing in the biggest names in fishing fame. Through laughter and lines, it's all part of the game. On the mic, where the fishing dreams flow, join the ride. We're casting out lines, you know. Norman Lee's got the tails and the bait, from morning fog to the evening's golden wake. We're talking bass and crappie, it's more than just a catch. It's the friendships we build, every story we sketch. Chair, join the fishing podcast where we all gather here with Norman Lee guiding the lines we cast. In the heart of the fishing world, memories will last. Let's go fishing, no one ever apart. On the mic is where we'll find the heart.
Alrighty then, welcome to On the Mic episode 19, the final episode of season 1. You know, we want to get the ball rolling by thanking all of our sponsors and partners who really have been a large part of making season 1 of On the Mic such a huge success. Let's start off with Bruiser Baits, Firefly Outdoor and Marine Spear Point Performance Hooks, Bucked Up Energy YOLO Tech, Cornfield Fishing Gear, Joe Burns Custom Rods, Picture Me 3D, Fishtails Bait and Tackle, and Power Pole. Make sure to go check out all of those companies by going to their websites. You know what? Our final episode of season 1, and we had to have a grand finale to cap off the end of this great season. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about the guests we have joining us tonight. You know what? From a world-class boat racer for the Mercury Racing Team back in the mid-'70s, capturing 9 national titles and 2 world championships, to a legendary boat builder. He is in the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame as well as the National Marine Association Hall of Fame. He currently is the founder of Camus Boats. That's right, guys. I am talking about a good friend of mine, Mr. Earl Bentz. So I'm going to stop talking because you know what? We have a lot to talk about with Earl. Everything from his boat racing days and a little bit before that even, all the way through what he has going on today. So anyway, guys, you know what? I'm going to shut up and I'm just going to let Earl do some talking. So without further ado, the best, and I do mean the best boat builder in the world, Mr. Earl Bentz. All right, we have a special show today. We are on the mic with Earl Bentz. Man, Earl, First of all, it's an honor and a privilege to have you on the show, have you on the mic today. But what's going on, man? How's your day going so far?
Well, it's going good. You know, I just got back from Florida with my family down there doing a little fishing, and with the Christmas holidays, and duck season's in here in Tennessee, and we're getting ready for the Miami Boat Show and the Bassmaster Classic. We got some big shows coming up, so I work hard this time of the year, Monday through Friday, in the plant, getting new boats ready, and the weekends are spent in January in the duck blind. So I've been having a lot of fun, enjoying my family. You know, I've got grandkids now, and I got one son-in-law here in the business with me at Camus, so I stay busy. Plenty of grass growing on my feet.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, you know, I've known you for really quite some time. I could pretty much say I almost followed you. You know, I basically started fishing out of a Stratus when I was at, you know, that dealership, but mainly because of you. You know, with what you meant.
I remember you worked with Alan Underwood there at Lake Placid Parade. That was as many years ago. Been a lot of water under the bridge since then.
Been like the early to mid '90s, I guess.
Or earlier.
Or might have been, or even earlier, man. But you know, when then when you went to Triton, I jumped ship from Stratus and went straight to Triton. Again, following you along your path, man. But I want to go way back, Earl. I want to go almost back to the beginning, dude. At age 14, you started working at your uncle's boat dealership.
Well, Norman, let me back up a little further.
Yeah, go ahead.
Both of my grandparents were farmers. My mother and dad's side were both families were farmers, and I had aunts and uncles who farmed. And I worked on the farm. That's what I did at a very early age, 8, 9 years old. They'd put you out there either slopping hogs or milking cows or pig cropping tobacco, chopping cotton, and working in the tomato fields. And I've watched my family pray for it to rain and pray for it to quit raining, and pray for it to rain, pray for it to quit raining. And you know, when I loved it, don't get me wrong, I loved being outside and didn't want to be cooped up in an office. But I had an uncle who raced power boats, and I was always intrigued by that. I went to some of his early races, and he started a boat rigging and repair shop back in the mid-'60s. And in May of 1966, he came home one evening. I happened to be at his house. He said, "What are you going to do this summer?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to do every summer I'm back on the farm." He said, "How would you like to learn the marine business?" Well, man, that was music to my ears. So at 14 in South Carolina, I had a car, had a driver's license and a restricted license, but I could drive back and forth to school, back and forth to work. And I went to work for him for $1.25 an hour. My first job was scraping the barnacles and oysters off the bottom of a commercial wooden crab boat, and I had to fiberglass the seams, boat leaked. And it was in May of 1966, that South Carolina hot sun baking down on those barnacles and oysters. Man, it was rotten, stinking. I said, man, this is what boat business is all about. I may go back to the farm, but he was racing, and he ended up, I would go with him to test. I helped him rig his boats. I would clock out, wouldn't charge him, because I didn't think you're supposed to get paid for having fun. And my payment was, when we went to test, he let me drive his race boat up and down the lake. And at 16, he put me in a boat, and for the first time, my first race. And that sort of kick-started my career in racing, and we enjoyed a lot of success. I drove for him for 5 years, and we had an awful lot of fun. 5 years before I was asked to join the Mercury Racing Team and moved to Oshkosh, Wisconsin, first of all, in 1973. Ended up going to work for Howdy Sport was racing for Mercury
Right.
in 1975. So that got me into the boat building aspect of things. So I've had a good fun time in the marine business. And, back then, Norman, back in the 60s, the boats were pretty primitive. They're old flat bottom boats.
Right.
Not all of them were fiberglass. Some of them were wood. Some were fiberglass. They porpoised. Ray Scott in the late 60s was starting BASS.
Yeah.
Bass tournaments becoming popular. Racing to and from the spots was a thing to do. But if you had a 60 or 70 horse engine, that's about the biggest the outboard companies made back then.
Yeah.
You didn't go real fast, but everybody understood the importance of getting to the hole first. That school of bass, and then the faster you could go, the longer you could stay and fish before you had to be back in to weigh in.
Yeah.
And Ray, as he promoted and BASS grew and bass fishing grew, the importance of performance grew, and people started putting running pads on the bottom of the boat. Most of them copied what Paul Allison was doing, and
Yeah.
Allison Craft, the godfather of performance B-bottom boats, in my humble opinion. And putting big engines on them, overpowering them, make them go faster than what they were designed to go. And, that boom really started kicking off in the early 70s, 73,
Right.
74, 75.
Yeah. Yeah, if you look at even some of the pictures of the early Bassmaster Classic days, and look at some of the boats they used back then compared to what we have today at our disposal. I mean, modified V. If anybody's familiar with the modified V, that's what your fiberglass bass boats were. They weren't the sharp, sleek design like we know today. Modified V, which almost to me back then looked almost like a flat bottom boat if you think about it.
Well, they were flat bottom, and a lot of them were tri-hulls because the general consensus was if it was a straight conventional V-bottom, it was too tipsy up on the front end of the boat, so you had to have the sponsons or pontoons of a tri-hull up there. Well, we all know that proved to be later on in the mid and late 70s, we went back to a conventional V-bottom, cut the sponsons off, widened the boat from chine to chine to make it more stable at rest. At the same time that we were redesigning these boats at Hydrosport from a tri-hull to a V-bottom, we were racing these V6 outboards.
Right.
And our racing headquarters was in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and I went over to the engineering station next to our race shop on the Fox River there, and they're running these V6 outboards. I didn't know what horsepower they were, on these big 22 to 24 foot center consoles, and I said, y'all better be putting one of them things on a bass boat. And they said, well, they're too big for a bass boat. I said, you don't know bass fishermen like I do. I said, they want the biggest, baddest outboard there is.
Yeah.
And they said, well, would you bring one up here? So next time I flew back to Nashville, I got in my car and I pulled a 17.5 foot Hydrosport bass boat up to Oshkosh, and I mean, literally the engineers are rolling on the ground laughing. These low profile, they were used to those walleye boats with the high sides on them. This low profile thing looked like a surfboard with a motor on it. They said there's no way in the world is anybody going to put this big engine on that thing. I said, I'm telling you right now, I know what I'm talking about. If it's an outboard and they clamp it on the back, they're going to figure out a way to make it work. Yeah. Well, we bolted it on there and I drove it. So I can claim today that I was honestly the first guy in the world to run a V6 outboard on a bass boat.
That's awesome, man.
And it was a pretty hairy ride. The gear case at 66 miles an hour would blow out, and they had a big stern drive gear case. It would blow a big bubble in the water, make the prop blow out at 66 miles an hour, but it was fast.
Yeah.
And the motor was capable of much more than what the boat was capable of.
Yeah.
And it went from there. And after the first marketing at Mercury came down to my office in Nashville and said, we are dumbfounded. 80% of our sales went bass fishermen this year. With those big engines, a big Black Max, they call it, 175 horsepower Black Max.
I remember that motor well.
We got to figure out a way to make this thing work, so we started working on gear case design and all that sort of stuff. And people, new props, prop selection, jack plates, and all that. And that was really when the performance bass boating boom took off.
Right.
And there were, 35,000, 40,000 pad bottom fiberglass bass boats being sold in North America at that time, which is a pretty big number for one segment.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. It was just great. The engines had passed the boats, and it took us a while because of the weight on the back end of the boats. They porpoise at slow speeds, and the engines were capable of going much faster than the boat designs were designed to do. So watching that from 1976, when that motor was introduced, going through the 80s and 90s, as we went from 12-volt trolling motors to 24-volt trolling motors to 36-volt trolling motors with 3 batteries rather than 1, power poles on the back end, hydraulic jack plates, and all the weight we've added to these boats. It's been fun to watch the transition and be part of playing a small role in designing things that change with the times. And maintain the speed and soft ride, dry ride, and safety factor. Back in the early days too, there were no kill switches. A lot of these young folks don't know that.
Right.
Ray Scott was one of the biggest promoters of safety, and he was always quizzing me because we had a kill switch attached to our life vest. He said, "How does that thing cut that motor off?" He said, "Why can't we do that on a bass boat?" So the bass boat doesn't turn around and run over the guy when it throws him out. And making life jackets mandatory and all that sort of stuff. So the safety features that we've got today too are direct credit goes to Ray Scott for that stuff.
Oh, right. And you and Ray Scott were actually back then. You guys were good friends.
Very good friends. Ray and I, the last 5 years that Ray was really active, we would work about 40 to 50 boat shows a year. And Bob Cobb would join us on many of those ventures. And it was just so much fun. We go work with our dealers and had a big time. And Ray was a real innovator.
I could remember watching some of the not early Bassmaster Classics, but in my day, early Bassmaster Classics. When Triton, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit, but they were actually a big part of the Classic. And I could remember when the anglers didn't really fish in the Classic, didn't fish out of their own boats. You actually supplied the boats that the anglers fished out of from the boat manufacturer.
We did. We'd rigged 70 boats and for press boats and backups for anglers, and it was a huge undertaking, and rightfully so. The participants wanted to fish in their own boats, both their own sponsors, which certainly we understood. And it was the Classic is a wonderful event. Bass has done a wonderful job promoting the sport. I think that when ESPN purchased it from Ray sold to Helen sold to ESPN, and I think that they, along with Major League Fishing, have helped to elevate that sport to be a real sport.
Right.
To give it a lot of credibility, and certainly television has given it an awful lot of visibility. That, who would have ever dreamed that you can have an angler make a good, comfortable living fishing fishing tournaments, and there are several that are doing that today.
Oh yeah, and the early days of professional bass fishing, you know, unless you were a select few, you had to have other things to fall back on. But you know, in today's day and age, in the game today, you know, the majority of your professional bass anglers on the Elite Series and you know, the Bass Pro Tour, that's basically that's what they do for a living. Of course, now you bring YouTube into the mix. You know, a lot of the guys, you know, that's their second job besides, you know, fishing the tour, is they have their YouTube channels, and I guess you could say they make their pocket change off of you. And in some cases, I don't want to even say pocket change, in some cases you can make quite a bit of money nowadays with YouTube. So, and most of the anglers out there today, and the thing, I think what separates today's anglers from back then is marketing. In today's day and age, you have to be able to market yourself. Where I don't think back then it was as you still had to be able to market yourself, but not like today's professional bass fishermen. Do you feel that, Earl? Am I a little on the correct side there?
Social media has changed things, and you get you got these people called influencers now that have a big following on social media, and people like to follow them, and whether it's women's promoting clothes, shoes, pocketbooks, whatever it may be, fishermen promoting a lifestyle. They're fishermen who, I'll give you an example. We got a guy named Andrew Norby on our Camus staff. Wonderful guy, great family man.
I'm actually teammates with Andrew on Cornfield Fishing Gear.
Well, when I first met him a few years back, was walking through our plant, and we got 300 plus employees here, and these people were hollering at him across the factory floor, "Hey, Andrew!" And I'm not talking about one or two. I'm talking about a dozen of them. We got back to my office. I said, "Hey, you know them people?" He said, "I don't." He said, "I guess they follow me on YouTube."
Yeah.
And I forgot what you call. He has not a podcast, but he does a lot of YouTube. Every time he goes and fishes, he puts his stuff on his YouTube. And our employees were really excited that he was coming on our team.
Yeah.
And Andrew just sells a lifestyle, and just a very laid back, kind of nice, good Christian fella.
Yeah.
And you go back to the greats. You can't talk about influencers without mentioning somebody like a Bill Dance, who is the king of influencers still today. I mean, my goodness, 60 years later.
Oh, man. Yes. And he's still doing it every bit as busy today as back in the day. And quite honestly, I see him quite often, the different shows we do, and every chance I get a chance to talk to him, I'm like, "Bill, I do not know how you do it," because I get winded walking out to the mailbox, Earl, and to look at Bill, what an inspiration, you know, to myself and other anglers out there, to be able to see what he's doing. Still to this day, is just, I think it's unprecedented, you know, what he does.
Well, he's passionate about what he does, and I will tell you, you show me somebody that's not passionate about what they do, and I'll show you somebody that's probably not very successful with what they do. So, and that's Bill. Bill and I have been friends for 50 years, and even though he runs another brand of boat, it still doesn't stop us from being friends. I love the guy. I've got tremendous respect for him, and we've worked many shows together, fished together, and just by golly, we both do a lot of things for conservation, which everybody should contribute to.
Yeah.
And other greats out there, you know, the Hank Parkers or Roland Martins, the people that work hard to promote the sport of bass fishing, which is a great, good, clean family sport. different day to day to have 5 grandsons and to be able to take them and enjoying the outdoors with me. And I've got, they all love to fish, and, to pass it on. And Bill Dance has passed it on to many people.
Yeah.
And, you go to a show, go to the Classic sometime and sit back and just watch Bill. Bill treats everybody the same, just like my friend Guy Aker in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any difference whether you're the CEO of a Fortune 500 company or 8-year-old just getting into fishing. They treat everybody the same, and that's what makes them so special and so fun to be around.
Exactly.
And so successful.
Yeah. That is some good stuff, Earl. That is some great stuff. I want to go back up a little bit. Now, let's continue talking about you left Hydrosport in 1983, and you formed your own company, which was Stratus Boats. What could you tell us about that move that you made to start Stratus? And do you think, when you were at Hydrosport, do you think, because you were in the research and development department there at Hydrosport, and do you think that is where you really got your teeth, your feet wet, I should say, in boat design? Was it Hydrosport? Because
no question about it. Rourke Summerford and I worked together in R&D at Hydrosport, developing boat hulls. It's what I enjoyed doing. It's what I did on racing boats as well when I worked for Mercury. And the guy that owned Hydrosport, his name was Joe Reeves. He was tremendously nice to me, and he allowed me to race 7 months out of the year for Mercury. And I'd go to Europe for 2 months and travel the world and race, and then come back and learn the boat manufacturing business. Well, the last 3 years that I was at Hydrosport, I quit racing, retired from racing, and ran the company. So I got a good taste of sales, marketing. I already had a pretty good handle on the manufacturing end and design and sales and marketing aspect. I got to work with our dealers, and it was my niche. I knew this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I tried to buy Hydrosport from Joe. He didn't want to sell, and I can understand why. And I told him that, I said, Joe, I'm ready to own my own business. We shook hands. We parted as friends. He told me, he said, go ahead and leave the nest and try out your wings. If you can't fly, come back and I'll give you a job. You paid me a lot of money.
Yeah.
And Joe was a big help and a big influence for me to go and do my own business, my own thing. And we enjoyed tremendous success. I had a great team of people that were with me at Stratus and at Hydrosport.
Yeah.
But they came with me with Stratus. We grew that company, and within 5 years, we produced more fiberglass bass boats than any other manufacturer in the world.
Yeah.
And pretty big accomplishment. But we had a heck of a team, and enjoyed. We sold OMC, the people that made Johnson Evinrude.
Yeah.
And we had 9 wonderful years there, and it was a lot of fun. And I was very content. They brought some management in at Johnson Evinrude, particularly the chairman of the board was a guy that he and I had different, let's just say, philosophical differences.
Yeah.
And the last year I was there, I was not happy. He knew nothing about boats. He just was one of them fellers that I guess I called him a city slicker. And we didn't have anything in common. I watched him catch his first fish.
Right.
And he didn't care about fishing, but he was Harvard MBA, smart fella. book sense wise, didn't have common sense to get in out of the rain. So I went to him and just told him, I said, I don't want to be a part of your team. And we shook hands and parted as friends. And I went and started Triton boats. I was 44 years old at the time. My entire team came with me. And we grew that company quickly and just had great success. 9 years later, Mercury, the Brunswick people came along and they told me that they were either going to buy my company or Ranger, one of the two, and said you can be on the inside and looking out or the outside looking in. I said, well, it's going to be more fun to be on the inside looking out. And we sold to them and became part of Brunswick Corporation.
Now, when you actually were the president of Triton, you were really breaking barriers in the marine industry. Triton quickly became really the leading producer of wood-free bass boats in America.
Well, let me tell you what we did. The last year or so that I was with Stratus, first of all, they changed the pressure treating process for pressure treated plywood.
Right.
Plywoods were, that was the standard material everybody put in the floors and transom of a bass boat, and other boats too.
Yeah.
And the pressure, they backed off on the arsenic levels and the pressure treatment, so the wood wasn't as good.
Yeah.
And people say, well, you encapsulate it with glass so water can't get to it. Most people don't know is 50% of the weight content of pressure treated wood is water's already in it. So you can glass over it all you want to, the water's already in there and it's going to rot.
Yeah.
So we started looking for replacement material to replace wood. And we found another material that was actually used in the development of the space shuttle, and it was a high-density foam with layers of fiberglass mat and woven in it. And we built several boats out of it to test the material to see how it held up. I gave it some approach and said, tear it up. And we sent it to Wiley Labs in Alabama and had them tested. It had twice the shear strength of plywood. It would not wick water. Since it was made with fiberglass laminate, when you bonded it in with fiberglass, you got a much better chemical bond than you did with wood that would shrink and expand with heat and cold and delaminate. So the only trouble was it was expensive.
Yeah.
So it cost us on an 18-foot bass boat cost about $1,200 more, just material costs
Right.
than wood was.
Yeah.
So we made the bold decision to completely abandon wood and come with the first wood-free boat manufactured in the world, to my knowledge.
Yep.
And all of our competitors said, "Oh, it won't work. It wicks water, which it doesn't. It won't bond, which is not true.
Yeah.
It's brittle. It doesn't have screw retention. All the stuff that you would expect your competitors to say. None of which was true, and within 4 or 5 years, everybody else was using it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it wasn't too long before all the other companies started switching their companies over to all wood-free boats.
And they didn't have any choice. I mean, I run into people today that have got Triton boats that were built, 15, 18, 20 years ago that are still just as good today as they were back then. There's nothing to rot. And, the sun, if you take care of them, the sun is the biggest enemy of any gel coat. But it's a great material. It was a great innovation.
And not only the wood-free boat construction there, Earl, but you were the innovator behind the retractable boarding ladders, which, a side note, it won the Award of Excellence for life-saving innovation by the National Safety Boating Council.
We did, and that was a result of Ray Scott, believe it or not. Ray and I were walking through my boat plant one day, fishing skis, and we had a fold-down ladder
Right.
that was ugly. Looked like a wart on the end of your nose. and Ray said, why don't you come up with a retractable ladder? He said, you got some smart people here that can design that'll go back up inside the boat somehow and pull it out if you fall overboard. Because
Yeah.
he said a lot of people, when they fish in the wintertime, they got on these big snowmobile suits, boots,
Yeah.
and all that. They can't get back in. They die of hypothermia before they get back in the boat. So I got with our engineering team, and we designed that thing. And we did. We were given the award of the year, something like that. I can't
Yeah.
remember what it was called. But it was a big honor. And we started getting letters from people that had, the first letter I got was a guy from Lake Erie that had his big friend, 275 pounds, that fell overboard in the wintertime, smallmouth fishing. And he couldn't get him in the boat. I couldn't. And then I remember this boat has got a retractable boarding ladder. They went back, pulled the pin, put the ladder down, and he said it saved my friend's life.
Right.
He was about to go into hypothermia.
Oh, wow.
And so it was that was a great intervention. We did a lot of things, but you got to remember, I had a lot of smart people.
Yeah.
That a lot smarter than me that worked for me. That all of them played a role in this thing.
And there was some other things that you and your team was responsible for innovation. If we talked about them all, we'd have to have about a 3-hour show. But just to give an example, the first to 6-gauge wire and harness to come standard.
Yeah,
on your bass boats.
That was kind of a no-brainer. Back then we used 10-gauge wire was the standard for the industry.
Yeah.
And I said, well, this is silly. Go try to jump a battery on a dead battery on a car up with 10-gauge jumper cable. That ain't gonna work. And it cost, I think it was about $40 more to put 6-gauge wire in over 10. So we were the first to go with 6-gauge trolling motor wire. And also fuses. Remember back probably before you were born,
Yeah.
we had these old fuse cap things, Norman, and you carried a piece of that bubble gum with that cellophane stuff that wrapped up the bubble gum. You'd wrap it over the fuse when the fuse blew so you could get back. We went with I said, what's wrong with automatic reset circuit breakers? It costs a little bit more, but you ain't got to worry about losing fuse caps and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And so we did that back in that was 80 or 81, 82, I can't recall, but lots of little things like that are just little common sense things that work pretty darn well. And like everything, sometimes things work, sometimes it didn't work as well as you'd hoped. And there's always the cost. You have to weigh the cost. How much is somebody willing to pay to have no wood in their boat? Well, that one paid off pretty well.
Yeah. Now, 2004, you were inducted into the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. And in 2019, you were inducted into the National Marine Manufacturers Association Hall of Fame, which that association and that Hall of Fame basically is to honor your continued, substantial contributions towards the advancements in the marine industry, which we just talked about a couple. And again, there's so much more that you had your personal influence on as advancements in the industry, and we just don't have time to talk about them all. But what about those two Hall of Fames? The Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, first of all, man, that is the legends of our sport is inducted into the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. What was it like in 2004 for you to get that call?
Quite an honor. I mean, it's both of them were quite an honor, and going back to the '60s, dealing with bass fishermen at my uncle's dealership, figuring out a way to make 1971 model flat bottom boat go fast, and working on the engines and raising the ports, shaving the heads, get more compression, dealing with outfished a few, darn few, but a few BASS professional events with BASS, and have tremendous respect for all those people that do it day in and day out. Man, I couldn't do it. It's just grueling.
Yeah.
You know, when I boat raced, all I had to do was keep up with my life jacket, my helmet, and my fire suit. And them guys, I had people to gas my boat, build my engines, rig my boats, and all that stuff. These bass guys charge their own batteries, keep up, do their own maintenance. I mean, my goodness gracious alive. And then they fish.
Yeah,
6 days in a row. It's tough.
I was gonna say too. You know, and I talk about this all the time. You know, fishing fans from the outside looking in, they just think the professional angler. They show up at the ramp, launch the boat, and they go fishing, and that's all they do. Nah, that's if you want to get down to the nitty gritty of a professional bass fisherman, they're almost a glorified truck driver, because they're actually towing that boat from place to place, probably logging a lot more hours than their actual water time. And needless to say, you know, they're their own pit crew, their own maintenance crew in a lot of cases. So yeah. For the average fishing fan, you know, and that's the perception a lot of people have, is they just show up and fish. But there's a lot more to it than that.
The accolades, Norman, that I've received, and the great honor of being in Bass Fishing Hall of Fame and the National Marine Manufacturers Association, which includes all the boat builders around the world, is a direct result of this very bright, capable, smart people that I've been so fortunate to surround myself with. It really is the result of their work. I was just the one chosen to raise the trophy, so to speak. It's a team effort. I'm very grateful to have been part of their legacy. And these wonderful people that I've got one guy that works for me today. He's 78 years old. He's been with me since 1976, long time. And he has he retired at 65, and he stayed home for about 6 weeks and called me up and said, man, I can't do this, and I'm going to go to the grocery store and start bagging groceries if you don't hire me back. So he and I go back a long ways, along with many others. A lot of my employees have been with me over 30 years, which is I'm so grateful and so fortunate to have them. And you know, it's been fun. It's truly like a big family. I carried 2 of them duck hunting this past weekend.
That's awesome. Do you get a chance? Yeah, I was gonna say, do you still get a chance to do much hunting? I know you're an avid hunter.
Well, I hunt and fish, and I hope the good Lord never makes me choose between the two, because it would be, you know, I do it in seasons. I like to waterfowl hunt, ducks and geese, go to Canada every year. A lot of fun. I'm very fortunate to own a place within about an hour of Nashville that has been extremely productive for me. And, you know, I've got a little 40-acre lake on my farm. And I've got big bass in, and I've got 2 21-foot boats to stay in my boat dock year round. So I've got a lot of structure. I've learned how to use that forward-facing sonar. I forgot what you call it. I'm not as good as these high school kids are with it. But it's fun to watch, you know. It's kind of like a video game. I love to hunt and fish, you know. It's just something that it's my passion, and that's why I still do it, and I'll do it until the day I die, Lord willing.
Yes, sir. We're gonna start wrapping the show up a little bit, Earl. But 2018, you founded Camus Boats. For all of our viewers that might be interested in getting some information on Camus, where could they go? The website, or where could people reach out to Camus for more information on your boats?
Well, first of all, we've got a 250,000 square foot facility that we just built in Ashton City, Tennessee. It's literally across the street from where the old Triton plant was that I sold to Brunswick back in '05. We've got dealers all around the United States, coast to coast. Obviously got a website where you can go and locate your nearest dealer. Or if your travels bring you to Middle Tennessee, to Nashville, for goodness sakes, come by and pay us a visit. We're here every day, and we'll host and give tours every single day, 5 days a week. Usually, our hours, office hours, are 8 to 5, plant hours are 7 to 3:30.
Yep. And
I'm here about every day that I'm not hunting or fishing, which isn't enough. That's for sure. Sometimes work more than I get to hunt and fish. But like I say, boating has been my passion. So I'm very blessed, Norman, to have been able to provide for my family in a business for the profession that is also my passion. And, it's not like I've ever gone to work a day in my life.
Yeah, that's it, man. That is it. And also, if you're actually anybody that's going to be in Knoxville to the Classic this year, you're also going to be at the expo there at the Classic, so you'll be able to get a chance to see the boats up close and personal there at the Bassmaster Classic Expo.
I will be there with bells on, and that's one of my favorite events of the year. And it's if you've never been to a Classic, you need to go. Knoxville will be a great one.
You definitely need to go. And they're going to be back in Knoxville, which last time they were in Knoxville a few years ago turned out to be the biggest one ever as far as crowd-wise and fans that showed out. So, if you've never been, you have to go. I mean, there's nothing like it.
Well, it's a happening.
Yep.
You know, it's a great show. The folks at Bass are wonderful people.
Yes.
And again, all of this stuff, going back. I mean, my buddy Ray Scott, the true pioneers of this sport.
Yeah.
Ray took a little greenfish, made it popular. And, promoted catch and release. He learned it from the trout fishermen out west in the streams in Colorado and Montana. And then you got the geniuses like Bob Cobb, who was the editor of Bassmaster Magazine, hosts the Bassmaster TV show, and all the people that did so much work to build this sport to what it is today. We lost Ray a few years ago.
Yeah.
I wish that Ray was still around today to see the fruits of his labor.
Yes.
What this sport has become. So, God bless you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Amen on that. Amen. Well, Earl, it has been a pure pleasure to be able to have you on the mic and just listen to your stories. I mean, just incredible. Incredible.
Well, listen, man, I've had a storied life. I mean, it's been a lot of fun for me. It's not over. I'm still on the right side of the grass, and I'm not planning on going anywhere. And again, like I say, it's the boating business is what I love. And Camus Boats, we've got a wonderful group. We got 300 great boat builders here in Tennessee. We got a wonderful team, many of whom have been with me 30 plus years. And we would invite everybody that's listening, if your travels bring you to Nashville, Tennessee, one of the greatest towns in America today, to please come by. We're 25 minutes. We're in Ashton City, Tennessee, 25 minutes from downtown Nashville. Come by and pay us a visit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, check Camus Boats out. And Earl, man, enjoyed the show, and enjoyed having you on, listening, and it's been great to catch back up to you. It's been a while. It's been a long time since me and you actually was able to talk, and but it's been great being able to catch up, and myself remembering some of those old times, looking back in the Triton days, Stratus days. That's I look back at them days with my personal life, and great memories I had. So it was just great to be able to get you on, and
well, I appreciate that, Norman. Good catching up with you again. I appreciate you having me on your podcast.
Yes, sir, Earl, and look forward to seeing you in Knoxville as well. We'll definitely reunite there in Knoxville. Thanks, Earl.
I look forward to it,
yes,
my friend.
Sir.
Thank you so much.
Bye now.
Thanks for watching this week's episode of On the Mic with Earl Bentz. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram at Norman Lee Fishing. This has been an NLF production.